Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is the third part of What If Issei was half dragon and half fallen angel. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like the video, and also share this video with your friends. Let's start the video. It was the next morning and Issei awoke in his bed and looked to his side to find a sleeping Serafal and thought about the day before. It was one hell of a day, right, Drag? Indeed, partner, you finally got your revenge, and my question is, what now? Asked Drag. Now we keep the peace to make sure no one else has to lose people they care about the way I did, replied Issei. I see, partner, and what of the white one? I will deal with him when the time comes, he replied as he was brought out his thoughts when he felt Serafal stir awake. Good morning, beautiful, said Issei as he kissed her forehead. Good morning, my love, she replied as she yawned. So what are your plans for today? Asked Issei. Well, I have to go meet with the others to give details of what happened, and you, she asked. Got to talk to the church duo to see what their next step is and then head to the club room to talk about everything. I think Searzex is going to stop by as well since his little sister was involved, explained Issei. Right, you did mention that you guys would speak today. Hopefully that goes well, but I have to go get ready for the meeting, said Serafal as she got off the bed and switched into her formal clothes. I will see you soon, darling, she said. Wait, Serafal, before you go, in a few days there's going to be an open house at the school, you should stop by, he said as he smiled at her. What, why am I only hearing about this now? Satan has some explaining to do, she yelled out as a magic circle appeared under her. Whoa, relax, at least I told you, now you can surprise her, he said. I guess you're right, but anyways I really have to go, darling, I will be back for the open house. I love you, she replied. I love you too. With that she teleported out of the room, leaving Issei alone. He looked at the time. Well, they should be up already, hopefully they aren't too depressed about yesterday, Issei thought out loud as he got up and got ready to head downstairs. He got downstairs to see Irina and Zenobia struggling to eat the breakfast Asia had made them. Good morning, girls, he said as he walked to the table. Issei ni good morning, sit down and I'll serve you a plate as well, said Asia. Morning, said both girls, and they could barely look up at him. Alright you guys, Rias dropped off the Excalibur fragments here last night. After everything, I know it's rough to find out the truth, but you two still have to deliver the fragments to the church, said Issei. You're right, it's just hard. We went from thanking and praying to God every day to only find out he's dead. Who have we been praying to? Said Irina. Well, Michael has been doing a great job of running heaven so he hears all the prayers, said Issei. I know this is going to be rough going back to the church, so before you guys go back I want you both to know that if either of you feel like that church isn't for you anymore cause of finding the truth, you both are more than welcome to come back here and stay with us, said Issei with his trademark smile. Both girls just looked at him and started to tear up. Thank you, Issei-kun, said Irina. You have my thanks as well for the generous offer, Issei, said Zenobia. It's really no problem at all. Now let's get you the airport. I know both you have to go back to the church, he said. They both only nodded as they got up to get ready. Scene change, airport. Issei and Asia came to see the two off at the airport and exchanging their goodbyes. Goodbye, Irina-san, Zenobia-san, said Asia with a smile. Asia. Thank you for your hospitality. I really want to apologize for what I said that day in the club room, said Zenobia as she bowed. It's all right, please raise your head, she replied. Yeah, thank you for everything, Asia, said Irina, and she hugged her. Geez, you would think it was her house that they were staying at, thought Issei as he deadpanned. Issei-san, thank you as well, said Zenobia as she shook his hand. Right, remember my offer will always stand, he replied as he smiled, and she walked off to the terminal and Asia walked away to give the Issei and Irina some time. I guess this is it, huh? Said Irina. It is. Well, for now at least, which reminds me, you did get to finish what you were going to say before everything happened, he replied. Irina blushes a deep shade of red as she remembered what he was talking about. All right, she said as she walked up to him. Issei, I love you, she said as her plane is called for boarding, and she ran off, leaving Issei standing there with his eyes widened in shock. Well, the Leviathan is going to be super happy about this, said Drag in their mental link. Oh. Shit. I do have to tell her, it's only right, replied Issei. You shouldn't be so surprised. Dragons are known to have more than one mate, and also the devils believe in polygamy, so it's alright. Easy for you to say, you know how serafall is, yelled Issei in his mind. Boo-ha-ha-ha, you're correct, good luck partner. Issei only sighed as he took out his phone as texted Serafall what had just happened. Well, let's hope for the best, he thought as he walked towards Asia and went to go speak to Rias. Orc clubroom, Issei knocked on the door and all he was Rias from the other side. Come in, they entered to see everyone from the orc and Sona and Tsubaki present. Hey guys, alright, let's get started. I know we a lot of questions, said Issei as he sat in the chair in front of Rias's desk. Very well, let's get straight to it then, said Rias. Great Red and Ophis showed up saying you were their little brother, care to explain? Asked Sona. Well, see, it all started like this. One explanation of past events to current. Everyone in the orc room except for Asia had their eyes wide open as they heard his story. Amazing, so you trained with two gods for the majority of your life, it's no wonder you're so powerful, said Sona. Yup. I really appreciate all that Ophis Ne-sama and Red Ne-sama have done for me, said Issei. And now that you've had your revenge, what is your plan now? Asked Rias. Well. Issei was cut off by a magic circle appearing in the middle of the room. Issei immediately recognized the circle. Oh god, please no, thought Issei as he paled. The light died down and Serafall came out with an angry expression directed at Issei. Issei Hyodo, you have some explaining to do, she said in a serious tone. It wasn't my fault. I swear, he said as he was starting to feel fear until he heard another voice. This looks like a good time, said the voice as a magic circle appeared and out came Grafia and Searzex. Everyone in the room bowed in respect. You guys realize that Serafall's a devil king too, right? Thought Issei as he sweat dropped. Oni-sama, what brings you here? Asked Rias. Well, two reasons actually, one is to speak to Issei here, said Searzex as he looked at Issei. Hello Issei, you and I and Serafall need to have a private conversation after this, Issei only nodded. And second is open house is coming really soon, I came to my little sister at work, he said. Rias only paled. Oh, and sister father is coming as well, he continued. Anyways, now that's that out of the way, Issei, is it alright if we speak now? Asked Searzex. Yes, of course, I'll teleport us all to my place, said Issei as he made a magic circle and teleported Serafall, Grafia, Asia, Searzex, and himself to his home. Issei's house. They arrived at the home and Issei looked at Asia. Asia, would you please make us some tea? Asked Issei. Hi Issei ni, she replied as she went to the kitchen. Please have a seat, said Issei as he motioned towards the couch. Issei across from Searzex while Grafia stood behind him and Serafall sat next to Issei, who still had a mad look on her face. So what can I do for you, Searzex? Asked Issei. Well Issei, we the devil faction would like to thank you as a whole for stopping Kokobile from starting another war. You saved a lot of lives. But I also want to personally thank you for protecting our little sisters and would like to make it up to you since you and Serafall have a relationship. The four great devil kings decided to make you an honorary devil at the ultimate class. With that we would to give a set of your own evil pieces, said Searzex as he pulled out a box and opened it and inside was a chess set. I assume you know how this works? Asked Searzex. Issei only nodded as he took the king piece and put it against his chest and it absorbed in and he suddenly felt a surge of power within him. Searzex looked at the remaining pieces and his eye widened in shock. Incredible, they all mutated, he said. Serafall and Grafia widened there and Issei looked at the box. The pieces went from being red to being a glowing dark purple. Is this bad? Asks Issei. Well, no, not exactly, but I've never seen anything like before, and since the pieces are going off of your power, anyone you add to your peerage will be a fallen angel instead of devil, explained Searzex. Issei just nodded at the explanation. Well, anyways, we should go, we have to find a hotel to stay at until the open house, said Searzex as he stood up. You're more than welcome to stay here, I do have an extra guest room, said Issei. Oh no, we couldn't possibly impose like that, Searzex replied. It's no trouble at all really, he said. Well, if you insist then we'll accept your generosity, he said as Asia walked back in. Asia, could you show Searzex and Grafia to the guest room? They'll be staying with us until the open house, he said. Hi Issei ni, she replied as she showed them the room. Issei looked at Serafall. Alright, now let's talk, he said. I'm only going to ask one question. Do you love her? She asked. Well, to be honest, we grew up together and separated when my parents were killed and she had to move, but I kept thinking about her throughout the years and being reunited felt good, so yeah, I guess I can say I love Irina, said Issei. Oh, she replied grimly, but I love you, Sarafal, he continued as she snapped her head up to look at him with tears in her eyes. I love you, Sarafal, with all your faults and your cosplay hobby and all, he said as he smiled at her. Sarafal didn't reply but only kissed him with a lot of passion behind the kiss. As they broke the kiss, Sarafal was the one to break the silence. Okay. She said. Okay. Asked Issei as he arched his eyebrow. Yes, I will share you. But only with Irina-chan, no harem, she said. Really? Yes, really, because I love you, Issei Hyodo, and I want you to be happy, she said as she smiled at him. I love you, Sarafal. I love you too, Issei. Let's go to bed, gotta prep for the next few days. She nodded and they went to bed for the night. Time skip to the open house. Not gonna lie, don't feel like typing all that stuff, lol, just watch the anime for reference. And instead of him making a Rias sculpture, he made one of Sarafal, and obviously no parents since, dead. Time skip after open house. Back at Issei's, everyone had a nice time at the open house and Sirzex, Rias, Zeoticus, and Grafia were in the living room talking about the events. Ah well, this sure was a lively evening, too bad Sarafal couldn't join us, said Zeoticus. It's alright, she wanted to spend time with her sister, replied Issei. Right. Well, it's getting pretty late, so I think we should call it a day here. Come on, Rias, I'll take you home, he said. Of course, father, she replied as they left through the front door. Grafia, could you please go on and head home first? There are some matters I wish to speak to Issei here about before I head back, said Sirzex. Hi, Sirzex-sama, she replied as she teleported away. What's up? Asked Issei. Well, you see, Issei, there was another reason for me coming to open house today. It was to scope out the school. You see, we plan to hold a meet with the leaders of the three factions soon to discuss a peace treaty, and we want you to be there, said Sirzex. Of course, Sirzex, I'll be there, he replied. With that, Sirzex stood up. Well then, Issei, that will be all. I'll take my leave now. I will let Rias know to tell you when the meeting is, he said. Right, he replied, and with that Sirzex had left the home. Issei turned his head to Asia, who came in from the kitchen. Asia, I forgot to tell you something, he said. What is it, Issei ni? She asked. You see, Sirzex gave me some evil pieces. It's what devils use to reincarnate other devils, and I was wondering if you would like to be my first peerage member. He asked. Asia didn't saying but hugged him really tightly with joy. Hi. I will gladly join you, ni-sama. Alright he said as he patted her on the head and took out the box. Let's see here, Asia is good with magic, so I should make her a bishop, thought Issei as he pulled out a bishop piece. Now I have to warn you, if you go through with this you will be reincarnated into a fallen angel. Are you sure you want to continue? Asked Issei. Hi. She said with confidence. Right then, he put the bishop piece on her chest. In the name of Issei Hyodo, I reborn Asia Argento into my bishop. May you shield us and aid us all in battle. Rejoice in your new life, said Issei, and the piece went into Asia. She felt the surge of power go through her, and as the light died down, 6 fallen angel wings came out of her back. Issei whistled. 6 wings, that's pretty cool, he said. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Issei ni, she yelled out as she retracted her wings. Right, well, let's just go to bed, Asia. Alright. Hi. With that, they went off to bed to put an end to an eventful day. Issei awoke the next morning recalling the events of the previous night with Asia. So I have my first peerage member now, thought Issei. Indeed, partner, have you put any thought of who else you want to be in your peerage? Asked Diedrag. None whatsoever, replied Issei, pretty much just winging it, no pun intended, he thought as he stood up from bed to get ready for the day. I should, however, pay my uncle a visit to see how he knows our rival, said Issei out loud. I am also curious about that. Well, only one way to find out, he replied as he decided to pay his uncle a visit before school and made a magic circle underneath him and teleported away. Scene change. Azazel's place. Issei appeared in the living room of Azazel, looked around and noticed no one was there, so he called out. Hello, he said. Issei. What brings you here, my boy? Replied Azazel as he came out of the bathroom. I have a question for you, uncle, he said. Let me take a wild guess. It has to do with the White Dragon Emperor, correct? He asked. Issei nodded and he noticed an blue magic circle appear on the floor. Ah, speak of the devil, Literally, said Azazel as a boy with silver hair who appeared to be Issei's age appeared and looked at Azazel then at Issei. Issei, this is Vali Lucifer aka the White Dragon Emperor. Vali, as you know, this is my nephew Issei Hyodo, said Azazel. Yeah, we met yesterday when I went to go retrieve Kokobil's body, however I was in my balance breaker so he didn't see my face, said Vali while staring at Issei. Now boys, don't go fighting yet, said Azazel. You know how much I like to fight strong opponents, Azazel, and yesterday he gave me quite the show, replied Vali. Well, I didn't come here to fight, I just came here to ask how you know each other, replied Issei with a shrug. Oh. See, a long time ago when I was traveling in the underworld I had found Vali abandoned and beaten as a kid, so I took him in and trained him ever since, explained Azazel. Okay, well that explains that, I guess then in a way we're cousins, said Issei. Vali slightly widened his eyes. How can this guy just be so cool with this? He does realize that we're rivals, right? Thought Vali. Issei turned to look at Vali. I can pretty much take a guess at what you're thinking right now, and yes, I am aware that we have a fated fight, but does it really have to be that way? After getting my revenge on Kokobil, the only thing I want to do now is just keep the peace between the factions, said Issei. Keep the peace, huh? I don't know, it seems kinda boring if you ask me, replied Vali. Well, to be honest, we all know there is going to be some strong people who will oppose the treaty and try to start conflict, so even without war you'll still be able to fight strong opponents. So what do you say, help me keep the peace as friends and I'll even spar with you when you want, replied Issei. Albion, what do you think I should do? Thought Vali. I think you should take him up on the offer, he has a point, you would still be able to fight strong opponents, and if you fight alongside him the world will definitely fear the names of the heavenly dragons, replied Albion. Alright Issei Hyodo, I'll take you up on that as long as I get to fight some strong people, it's alright by me. But we will spar, a lot, said Vali. Great. That's one less thing to worry about now. Also, Uncle, where's Rei? Asked Issei as he turned to look at Azazel. She should be back any minute, she went to go drop off some papers with Penemu at the Grigori. Why do you ask? He replied. Well, since I'm with Seraphal and I helped save his little sister Searzex, and the 4 devil kings made me an honorary devil, thus giving me a set evil pieces, however instead of devils they're reincarnated into fallen angels, said Issei. That's amazing, said Azazel. Wait. You're with the Seraphal Leviathan? Asked a dumbfounded Vali. Yeah. Why? He replied as he shrugged. No reason. She's hot. Respect. Said Vali as he put his fist up. Azazel only laughed at the interaction between the two when a magic circle appeared on the floor and Rainier came out. Hey Rei, I was looking for you, said Issei. Oh hey Issei. What's up? She asked curiously. Well, I've already explained to Azazel and Vali here, but Searzex made me an honorary devil and gave me a set of evil pieces, but instead of devil they're reincarnated into fallen angels, and I came by to see if you would like to be in my peerage. He asked. Of course. I would love to be. Okay then, he replied as he took out his set and took out the other bishop. Issei did his chant and the bishop absorbed into Rainer's chest and she felt a surge of power run through her. Alright, I'm curious if there was a difference right off the bat. Rei, show me your wings, said Issei. Rainier did as she was instructed and 10 fallen angel wings came out. Azazel and Vali widened their eyes. So I was right, taking in one of my pieces gets you an auto upgrade, said Issei. So you've tried this already? Asked Azazel. Yeah, on Asia when the bishop absorbed into her she auto had 6 wings and she was just human when I did it, explained Issei. It seemed that because you yourself are so powerful that when they get reincarnated by you they get a power upgrade, said an interested Azazel. Well anyways, I have to go to school now. Rei, I'll call you later, alright? Said Issei. Of course, she replied. He made a magic circle and left for school. Time skip. After school at home, Issei and Asia just got back home. He didn't go to the Orc since Rias and her peerage has devil duties to fulfill. Asia had gone into the kitchen to start making dinner while Issei sat on his couch to watch TV until there was a knock on his door. Issei sensed who was outside and sensed 2 familiar presences and got up. Asia, go ahead and make dinner for 4, we have company, said Issei as he walked to the door. Hi Issei ni, she replied. He got to the door and opened it to find the church duo with their luggage looking as if they had been crying. Come in, he said as he stepped to the side to let them in. They went inside and set their luggage by the couch and sat down while Issei sat across from them. Alright. What happened? He asked. When we got back we handed them all the fragments and they asked for the mission report. We told them everything that happened, explained Irina. Let me take a wild guess and say because they found out you knew about God's death they excommunicated you too. He asked. The duo only nodded sadly. Well, I told the both of you that you could come back and I meant it, so what are your plans now? We honestly have no idea, replied Zenobia. Well, since you don't know, how about joining my peerage, he said with a smile. Peerage. But you're not a devil? Asked Irina. Well, after the whole thing with Kokobil happened they made me an honorary devil and gave me some evil pieces, but mine are different. Instead of becoming devils you would become fallen angels, explained Issei. Both of them widened their eyes in shock. Why you want us to join you? Asked Zenobia. Hell yeah, he replied. I will join you Issei-kun, said Irina. I as well will join you, said Zenobia. Alright then, he said as he pulled out the box with the remaining pieces in it, as he pulled out a knight piece and put it against Zenobia's chest. And began the chant, in the name of Issei Hyodo I call you Zenobia Quartra as my knight, may your sword bring down our enemies and defend this household, rejoice in your new life. As he finished the piece absorbed into Zenobia and there was a glow. When the glow died down there stood Zenobia with her 8 fallen wings out. And Issei whistled. 8. That's pretty strong. I take it you may have kept a sword from the church? He asked. Yes, I have the holy sword Durandal in a pocket dimension, she replied. Durandal. Well then you will certainly become strong, he replied. He then turned to Irina and pulled out the queen. I was saving this piece for you since I got it, would you do me the honors and be my queen? Asked Issei. Irina just stared at him. A tear slowly fell onto her cheek as she smiled and nodded. Issei only smiled as he put the piece to her chest. In the name of Issei Hyodo I call you Irina Shido to serve me side by side as my queen, rejoice in your new life, he said as the piece absorbed into her chest and a flash of red light appeared and the light died down and there stood Irina with 10 fallen wings coming out of her back. Issei saw his and smiled. Irina felt the power surge through her. Whoa, was all she thought. Well, now that that's done, let's get you guys situated into your room, then we're gonna train how to use your light magic for the spears, explained Issei. Well, I have a question, said Zenobia. Yes Zenobia, what is it? Asked Issei. Well, we're new to the whole wings thing, how do we put them back? She asked. I was wondering that too, said Irina. Oh ha ha ha, just relax your back and imagine them gone and they'll retract, explained. They did what he said and both their wings retracted. Alright, let's go get you guys settled in, said Issei. Time skipped to later that night. It had been a long day. Issei went to visit Azazel, went to school, and came home to the church. Duo being here and the two joining his peerage along with Rainier also got some training in. Zenobia and Irina were able to pick up light magic really quick while Zenobia's light was blue, Irina's was pink. Man, it's been an interesting day today Didrag, thought Issei. Indeed, it was. Your friend Irina is gonna to become a really strong piece, said Didrag. Well, she is my queen after all, he replied. Issei was suddenly cut off of the mental link when he heard a knock on his door. Come in, he said. Issei, said Irina as she poked her head through the door. Hey Irina, what's up, you okay? He asked. Yeah. I just wanted to speak with you about something. Yeah sure, go ahead, he said as he sat on the bed. Well, I wanted to know what you thought about what I told you at the airport, she said shyly. That's right, I've talked to Serafal about it but haven't given Irina a response since she's been gone, he thought. Well Irina, I'll be blunt, I talked to Serafal about it and at first she was really mad but eventually we talked it out and I need to tell you this, I love Serafal, said Issei. Oh. She replied grimly. Ha, I love adding dramatic, he thought. But I also love you as well Irina, he said. Irina looked up in shock with tears in her eyes. Serafal and I talked and if you're willing to share then she's willing to share me with you, but only you, so my question is, are you okay with that? He asked. Irina flung herself at him and hugged him. As long as I can be with you then I'm okay with it, she said. Then I guess we're Togath. Issei was suddenly cut off as Irina kissed his lips passionately. They broke apart after a minute and Issei was shocked. Is it okay if I stay with you here tonight? She asked. Sure Irina, that's fine, he replied as he patted her on the head and she got into one side of the bed and both drifted off into sleep. Issei woke up the next morning to find he was alone in the bed. I wonder where Irina went. He thought. She's probably with your knight, that blue hair girl, replied Didrag. Her name's Zenobia Diedrag, deadpanned Issei. Yeah, that one. Well, I better go see what they're up, he replied as he got up and got ready for the day. Living room. Issei walked into the living room to find his peerage all on the couches talking. He looked towards Rainier. Hey Ray. When did you get here? Asked Issei. Oh, not that long ago. I came by to see Asia so we could train a bit before you guys go to school and ended up meeting Irina and Zenobia since we didn't get a chance to properly meet last time with everything going, she replied. Alright, that's good Irina. Zenobia, I'm pretty sure you guys know by now, but this is Rainier, my cousin and also my other bishop, he explained. Yeah, we know. Giggled Irina. Issei nodded as he felt his phone vibrate in his pocket and took it out to see he had a message from Rias. Alright guys, Rias says to meet her at the Orc clubhouse as soon as possible, so let's head over, he said as he made a teleportation circle big enough for everyone. Irina and Zenobia stared in amusement. I'll teach you two later how to teleport, for now let's go see Rias, he said. They nodded and got into the circle and teleported away. Orc clubroom. They teleported into the clubroom to see everyone from Rias's peerage was there. Hey Rias, what's up? Asked Issei. Rias gave him a confused look. What are Irina and Zenobia doing here? She asked. Oh right, I think I forgot to tell you. Well, your brother made me an honorary devil since they whole Kokobile thing in my relationship with Seraphal and gave me a set of evil pieces, but since it's my energy they're going off of, they reincarnate as fallen angels instead of devils. As far as Irina and Zenobia goes, see, when they found out the truth about God, the church labeled them as heretics and excommunicated them, explained Issei. Rias just widened her eyes. Girls, tell Rias you ranks and show your wings please, said Issei. They all nodded as Asia was the first one to go. I'm a bishop, she said, and he released her 6 fallen wings. I'm the other bishop, said Rainier, and she released her 10 wings. I'm a knight, said Zenobia as she released her 8 wings. And I'm his queen, giggled Irina as she released her 10 wings. To say everyone was shocked was an understatement. As they saw the amount of wings they had, they knew that each one of them could take on Rias's peerage alone. With that, everyone put their wings back and Zenobia noticed Kiba by the window and walked over to him. Hello again Kiba, it's nice to see you again, this time on better terms, she said as she smiled. Agreed. It's nice to see you as well Zenobia. I'm sorry about what happened at the church, said Kiba. It's unfortunate, but I'm the bright side, I get to stay with my friends and I get to see you again, she said with a wink. Issei arched an eyebrow at this. Smooth, he thought. Kiba blushed a bit. Well, since you feel that way, would you like to go out for dinner with me this weekend? He asked. And here comes the shot, thought Issei. I would love to, she replied. It's good, thought Issei. Do you have to do your commentary so loud? Asked Diedrag in his mind. Well, no, but it's fun, he replied as he turned back to Rias. So anyways, back to the topic at hand, what's up? He asked. Rias cleared her throat as she regained her composure. My brother suggested I released my other bishop. We've been keeping him here sealed for everyone's safety. See, he has a powerful sacred gear that he has no real control over and it's a danger to everyone. I wanted to see maybe you could be of some assistance since his gear would most like not affect you, she explained. Okay. What's his gear? Issei asked. It's the Forbidden Valor view, she replied. Issei nodded. I can see why it would be dangerous. Alright, let's go see him, he said as everyone got up to leave the room. Outside the sealed door. The door had caution tape on it as to keep people out. Issei looked at it curiously. Akino, if you would, said Rias. Right, she replied as he broke the seal and the door opened, only to be met with a dark room and silence. It's okay, the seal is gone, you can come out now, said Rias. No, I don't want to, it's better safer in here, replied a little high-pitched voice. The fuck? Thought Issei. Everyone walked in only to find a small figure in the corner of the room. The figure had platinum blonde hair and wearing a female Kuo Academy uniform. I thought they said it was a male. Asked Diedrag in the mental link. He is. Feel his energy, that is most definitely a male. This must be what Red Ni-san refers to as a trap, replied Issei. Okay. My turn. The fuck? Just go with it, I guess. Gasper, it's okay, no one is going to hurt you, it's time to come out now, said Rias. No, it's not safe, I'm too dangerous, I still can't control my power, replied Gasper as time seemingly froze. Issei, Irina and Rainier gave each other a look and turned back to Gasper. Hey little buddy, it's alright, said Issei. What's going on, you guys are still moving. cried out Gasper. Well, the thing is, we're too strong for you power to work on us. But that power you control is pretty dangerous. However, if you're willing to come out, I'm willing to help you train to control your power. That way you can protect Rias as a man from the house of Grimoire, said issei. You'd be willing to help me? Asked Gasper. Of course, any friend of Rias is a friend of mine, replied issei as he stuck his hand out. Gasper took his hand and time moved at regular speed again. What just happened? Asked Rias. I'm going to train Gasper myself. He's agreed to come out as long as I help him control his power, said issei. Thank you, issei. It really means a lot that you're willing to do this, Rias said with a slight blush. Irina saw the blush and puffed her cheeks and pouted. Issei saw this. That's adorable. She's jealous, he thought, and turned to Gasper. Alright Gasper, let's head out of here and train. Oh, and Rias, could you do me a solid? Asked issei. Sure. What do you need? She asked. Can you talk to Sona and get these two enrolled in the academy as second years? Guess it shouldn't be too hard. I'll talk with her about it, she replied. Alright, thanks Rias. Come on Gasper, let's go start your training, said issei. Gasper was reluctant at first but eventually gave in. Time skip. It was Friday. Over the course of the week, issei has been training Gasper. He now has more control of his power. However, if issei gives him a little bit of his blood, he'll temporarily have full control. Issei yawned as he walked into his bedroom. So tomorrow is the meeting. Let's hope for the best, thought issei. Indeed, partner, but I have a feeling there might be some interference with the meeting. Having the three faction leaders in the same place is the perfect place for an attack, replied Diedrag. You're right, I'll have to keep my guard up, he thought when a familiar magic circle appeared in the room and out came Serafal. Hey babe, I missed you, smiled issei as he walked up to her and gave her a kiss. I missed you too, love. Sorry I haven't been here, I've been busy with the whole meeting tomorrow and all, had to make arrangements, she replied. It's no problem, you're a devil king, you're obviously busy. He said. Thank you for understanding. She smiled. Where's Irina-chan? She's probably asleep in her and Zenovia's room, he replied. I wanted to talk to her about everything, she said as she puffed her cheeks and pouted. You can talk to her after everything tomorrow, babe, he said as he patted her head. Alright. So can I stay the night? She asked. Of course, you're always welcome here, my love, he replied. They kissed again and went to bed as tomorrow was a big day for everyone. Time skipped to place of meeting. Issei and his peerage arrived to the school and into the halls where he met up with Rias, Sona and her peerage. Hey guys, we're here. Where's Gasper and Kaneko? Asked issei as he noticed the two were missing. They're both at the clubhouse. Gasper decided to stay there since he still can't fully control his sacred gear. He didn't want to interrupt the meeting in any way, and Kaneko is there to keep him company, she replied. Okay, well, let's go inside and get started, he said as he opened the doors. Issei noticed that they had decided to use the student council office to host meeting. They have removed the main desk and couches and had replaced them with one long desk with three different sides. On the left side was Sirzex and Serafal with Graphia standing behind them. On the right there was Azazel with a woman who had light pale skin and long black hair that ran down to the middle of her back, but what caught Issei's attention was that she was wearing a low-cut top with large breast. And behind them was Vali. In the middle was a man with church robes and armor with green eyes and shoulder-length blonde hair, and next to him was another beautiful woman also wearing church robes with long blonde hair that goes down to her lower back and blue eyes. Behind them was a woman with shoulder-length blonde hair and blue eyes. Each of them had a halo over their head. Ah, great Issei, my boy, you're here. Before we get started. Issei, the two in the middle are your Aunt Gabriel and your Uncle Michael, said Azazel. Everyone except those mentioned widened their eyes in shock. Also, this is Azriel's little boy. It's great to see you again after all these years, Issei, said Michael. Oh my, how you gotten so big. We haven't seen you since you were about 2 when your mother decided to let you have a normal life. We respected her wishes, said Gabriel as she teared up. It's good to finally see you, Auntie and Uncle, said Issei as he bowed. Your other uncles Uriel and Raphael couldn't make it today as someone had to be in heaven, but we can arrange another day for you three to meet, said Michael. Issei just nodded. Now that that's out of way, let's officially get started with the meeting. First off, I want to start this meeting by saying that I apologize for my former subordinate Kokobile, but he went rogue years ago and was completely acting on his own. I don't want war, said Azazel. Okay, well, at least we got the swords back and no one got seriously injured throughout this whole ordeal, said Michael. I agree the important matter is that everyone's safe but we still need to hear the reports Rias if you would, said Sirzex. One explanation of the Kokobile events later, Isona Citri second in charge of Kuo can confirm everything stated is indeed the truth, said Sona. Great job Sona, said Serafal as she smiled at her younger sibling. Let's just make peace and be done with it, shrugged Azazel. The angel faction also wants peace, said Michael. The devil faction wants the same, said Sirzex. Before we get to signing the treaty, let's ask the two strongest presences in this room their thoughts on it. Issei, what do you think of it? Asked Azazel. I want peace so those who are precious to me are safe, he replied. And Vali? Asked Azazel. I just want to fight strong opponents, he replied. Yeah, but you don't need war to fight strong opponents, replied Azazel. Yeah, I guess you're right, he replied. So then let there be peace, said Azazel. At that moment time seemed to have stopped. Only Rias, Sona and their peerage were frozen in time. What happened? Asked Issei. It seems that Vampire Kid was forced into his balance breaker. We're not affected by it because we're too powerful, explained Azazel. At that moment hundred of magic circles came out in the sky and people wearing robes came out. Magicians, said Sirzex. Vali handle them will you? Asked Azazel. No need Uncle Irina and Ray, please take care of them, said Issei. They both nodded and left outside. Everyone looked outside to see that the two were dominating the magicians, killing them with magic and light spears. Issei then turned to Asia and Zenobia. Can you girl go to the clubhouse and bring back Gasper and Kaneko, please tend to any wounds they may have, Asia, said Issei. Both nodded and left. Issei turned back to the outside when he sensed a surge of power and quickly made a barrier big enough and powerful enough to protect everyone in the room as the roof exploded. Well, that's quite a strong barrier to protect from an attack like that, said a female voice. Everyone looked up to see a woman with tan skin and light brown hair. Well, if it isn't Kateria, Leviathan, descendant of the original Leviathan, said Azazel. Kateria, what are you doing here? Yelled out Serafal. Isn't it obvious to claim what is rightfully mine? I'm a descendant of the original Leviathan. I should be the Devil King, not some fake bitch, she said. Issei got mad at the comment she made about Serafal and he looked at Vali. Vali. You want to kill her or should I? He asked. Normally I would be more than willing to do so, but considering she just disrespected you, girlfriend, I get the feeling you want to fight her a little bit more than I do. Replied Vali. Alright then, I'll take care of her, as he released his 14 fallen wings and flew up to greet the Leviathan face to face. Now listen here, bitch, I can tolerate your bullshit speech about how you rightfully deserve this and that, but what I will not tolerate is the disrespect on someone I love, and for that you will die, said Issei with a serious expression. How you think because you have so many wings you can kill off a Devil King? Don't make me laugh, kid, she replied. Very well then, try not to make it too boring. Balance break, he said. Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker, W what? You're the Red Dragon Emperor. Kateria yelled out. Gabriel and Michael were staring in awe at the power Issei was putting out and smiled as they couldn't be more proud of their nephew. For the first time in a very long time, Kateria felt fear. Now before we start, I need answers. Who sent you? Asked Issei. Kriuzuri and Shalba did. She said. So the descendants of Asmodeus and Beelzebub, said Azazel, getting everyone's attention to pay attention to the questions Issei is asking. And you, do you three work for? Asked Issei. A group of strong individuals, we call ourselves the Chaos Brigade, she replied. And who leads it? He asked. Misajbm Lucifer, she replied. Everyone down below is shocked to hear that Misajbm is behind everything and Vali is furious. I guess I made the right choice to stay on this side after all. Now I'll have my chance to kill that bastard, he thought. Thank you for the information, but you realize you won't leave here alive, said Issei. Yes, but I'm taking you out with me, she yelled out as she launched a magic attack at Issei. Issei dodged the attack and flew towards the Leviathan at speeds she couldn't keep up with. He kneed her in the stomach and reached his hand back in less than a second, formed a spear of light and drove the spear into the heart of the Leviathan. She coughed up blood as the spear disappeared, and before she could start falling, Issei used fire magic to set her body ablaze. He looked around to see that the magicians were retreating. He deactivated his balance breaker and flew down to everyone else, where he noticed that Rias, Sona and their peerage were able to move again as Gasper and the rest walked in. It would seem we have a bigger threat to deal with now, said Michael. Indeed, it's best for us to make peace now and ally our forces against this threat, said Searsex. Indeed, so it's official then, the three factions are now at peace with one another, said Azazel as they passed around a scroll that each of them signed, and finally peace was formed. Issei walked up to Michael. Uncle, I have something to ask you, he said. What is it, child? You may ask me anything, he replied. Why were Zenobia and Irina excommunicated from the church? He asked. It was unfortunate that they were excommunicated, but the church are under strict laws from us to excommunicate any who find out the truth about God, since the truth would shake the foundation of the church. I made the laws to protect the church and its believers, Michael replied as he turned towards the two and bowed. I am truly sorry about what happened to the two of and hope one day you are able to forgive me, he said. Michael-sama, please raise your head, said Irina. We already forgiven the church and its members since we've been excommunicated. We've been happy. Yes, we were happy with our belief in everyone at the church, but now we can go to a normal school and have friends and find love. We are truly happy, Michael-sama, explained Irina. Thank you, girls, replied Michael as he smiled at them as the women standing behind them came up. It's good to see that you're doing good, Zenobia, said the woman. Griselda ne-sama, yelled out Zenobia as she ran to give her a hug. I have missed you too, Zenobia, and now with this treaty we'll be seeing more of each other, she replied. Well, now that that's settled, let's clean this place up and head home. I'm tired and in dire need of a drink, said Azazel. Azazel-sama, please control your alcoholic tendencies, said the woman next to him. Issei got curious as to who this was and walked up to them. Uncle, I wanted to ask to who this was since I've never seen her, he asked. Oh, Issei, my boy, this here is Penemu. You probably don't remember her since last time you saw her you were two, but she's a cadre in the Grigori, handles all file sorting and is also Rainer's mother and my wife, explained Azazel. Issei widened his eyes in shock as Penemu gave Issei a hug. It's good to finally see you again, Issei, she said as Issei returned the hug. Wait, so why is she calling you Azazel-sama? Asked Issei. She likes to keep formalities in public, kinda how Grafia is with Searsex, shrugged Azazel. Issei only nodded and walked towards his peerage. Alright guys, it's been kinda of a long day, so let's go home, shall we? Asked Issei. They all nodded as a magic circle appeared under them. Wait. They heard Serafal yell out. I coming with you. I have some stuff to talk about with Irina-chan, but that can wait till tomorrow morning, she said. Issei only nodded as he teleported all home to rest. Issei woke up in the morning to a lovely sight, Serafal on his right side and Irina on his left side. Both were sound asleep. You know, this would be totally awesome if I didn't have to super piss. Now how am I gonna get out of this? Thought Issei. Good luck, partner, replied Diedreg, maybe if I shook them gently. He thought as he gently started to shake them. Hey girls, I like being like this and all, but I gotta use the restroom like really bad, he said, only to be met with the light sound of snoring coming from Serafal. Seriously, come on, he tried again but failed again. Maybe a little shock from lightning magic would do the trick, suggested Diedreg. You know what, I'd normally be against that idea, but desperate times call for desperate measures, he thought as he got a serious look on his face and charged up some lighting magic on his palms and sent surges of electricity through both girls. Kyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyyy suddenly the hear. What the hell issei? From both girls down the hall as he made it to the restroom. Totally worth, he thought as he handled his business. Scene changed to the table for breakfast. Asia had made everyone breakfast and Sarafal and Irina were both glaring at issei from across the table when Zenobia walked in. What happened? She asked. Woke up, had to use the restroom, but these two sleep like rocks apparently, so I used some lighting magic to wake them up, replied issei. Makes sense, Irina was always a heavy sleeper, said Zenobia. I am not, protested Irina. Zenobia only deadpanned at Irina. So anyways, changing subjects here, when's your date with Prince Charming? Asked issei. Tonight, actually I'm nervous about it being in the church. I didn't have time to pursue a romantic relationship and now under you I do, so it's all very new to me. She explained. Just be yourself and I'm sure he'll fall for you, said issei as he smiled. Thank you issei, she replied, and issei turned toward his two girls. Alright Sarafal, so what is it you wanted to talk about? Asked issei. Oh right. Irina-chan, now that you're with Issei as well, I need to tell you this as a devil king I don't have as much time as I would like with him, and I'm sorry if I come off a bit rude, but I would appreciate it if when I do show up Issei and I could have alone time. If you want to sleep in the bed with us that's fine though, said Serafal. Okay, that's fine, I completely understand. I would feel the same way, replied Irina as she smiled. Okay, well that's that, just one thing, please keep him happy. Issei is the love of my life and I just want him happy, said Serafal. I will, because I love him too, she replied. Issei couldn't help but smile as he could feel the love from the two girls. Well, I should go, I have to go talk to Sears-chan about the future relations between factions, said Serafal as she stood up and a magic circle appeared under her. Issei stood up and walked towards her and gave her a passionate kiss. I'll see you later, I love you, said Issei. I love you too, she replied as she smiled and teleported away. So what's the plan for today? Asked Zenobia. Well, after what happened yesterday I think we should just relax today, that way you can get ready for your date with Kiba, but we'll start training again tomorrow, so be ready for that, replied Issei. Right, all three girls replied. The rest of the day everyone just relaxed. Issei and Irina relaxed on the couch, had a movie marathon. Zenobia joined them for a bit, but at a certain time she got ready for her date. Asia joined them as well until she decided to just go read in her room and relax. They had just finished their fifth movie when they heard a knock on the door. Issei got up to open the door to see Kiba wearing a black button-up shirt with the sleeves rolled up, black pants, and brown leather dress shoes. Issei whistled. You look sharp, Kiba, said Issei as he held out his fist. Thanks, to be honest I'm new to this whole thing so I'm a little nervous, replied Kiba as he fist bumped Issei. Don't be, just be yourself and you'll be fine. Zenobia. Kiba's here. Issei yelled out to Zenobia. Zenobia came out wearing a black summer dress and black heels. Kiba stood there looking at her beauty. Maybe you should compliment her, said Issei as he nudged Kiba. Alright, he replied as he walked toward Zenobia. You look beautiful, Zenobia, he said with a slight blush. Thank you, she replied blushing. Let's go ahead and go, I made reservations at a restaurant I think you'll like, he said as put his hand out. Oh okay, let's go, she replied as she took his hand. With that the two left. Ah, kawaii, said Irina. Yeah. I think they'd be good for each other, said Issei. I think so too, Zenobia deserves to be happy, she said. All of a sudden a red magic circle appeared in the middle of the room and out came Sears and Grafia. Oh. Hello Sears, what brings you here? Said Issei as Irina stood up and stood next to Issei as her place as queen. I came here to invite you to a youth devil meeting. The other devil kings and myself have decided to host a rating game tournament. You may participate if you chose to, but you don't have to. But the main reason I'm inviting you is because the Norse god Odin will be attending to discuss a treaty between the Norse mythology and the three biblical factions and to discuss the plan to counter the Chaos Brigade, explained Sears. Have they made a move yet? Asked Issei. Not yet, but we have reason to believe there might be a traitor in our hands, he said. I see, and you want to use the tournament to draw this person out. Alright, my peerage, and I will be there, said Issei. That great, said Sears with a smile as he handed Issei a piece of paper with the Lucifer crest circle on it. This will take you to the meeting hall when the time comes. Oh, and Issei. Yeah. Word on Odin's end is there are some people that aren't too thrilled with the treaty, so be aware of that, said Sears as he and Grafia teleported away. What do you think is going to happen? Asked Irina. I don't know, but I just know this meeting will more than likely be more interesting as I thought, but for now I have to go speak to Vali. I'll be back, said Issei as a magic circle appeared under him and he teleported away. Scene change with Vali. Issei teleported into the living room of Vali's apartment and looked towards the couch to find an interesting sight. He saw Vali in a heated make-out session with a topless girl with black hair and cat ears. Is that a Neko show? Thought Issei as he cleared his throat to get their attention. Kyyyyyyaa, screamed the girl as she covered herself with her kimono. What the hell, can't anyone knock around here? Said Vali as he glared at Issei. Sorry about that, but I have to speak with Vali. By the way, I'm Issei Hyodo, said Issei to the girl. Kuroka, she replied. Are you by chance related to Kaneko? Being part dragon I can sense energies and yours feels the same as hers, said Issei. I am, that is my little sister, said Kuroka. Ah, now that I think about, she did mention you once, he replied. Whose peerage are you in? He asked. No one's a while back my former master and his peerage were ambushed by stray devils and it was only because of my senjutsu healing that I survived. My sister was taken in by the Grimoires who were friends with my former master and my sister joined Rias's peerage, she explained. So I'm a free piece, going to make Kuroka not astray and this one since she's only really going to brought up every now and then. Ah, I see. I'm sorry that happened, said Issei. It gets better with time plus I have Vali here to keep my mind off of things, she said as she winked at Vali. So anyways back to he main point why you come here. I know it wasn't just to cockblock, said Vali. Issei laughed. You're right Sears X came to before I came here and invited me to the youth devil meeting he says that there might be a traitor among the youth who works for the Chaos Brigade, said Issei as Vali sat up this had piqued his interest. Also the All-Father Odin will be attended the Norse plan to sign a peace treaty with the biblical factions however word is there are some who don't approve of what Odin is doing, he explained. You think someone is going to attack the meeting, said Vali. There's a high probability. Nothing I can't really handle but I wanted to know if you wanted to come with, asked Issei. Well I'm still non-existent pretty much to the devil world still so I'm going to have to pass I'll reveal myself to the devil when the time is right but for I think my team and I will do some scouting and look for more leads on the Chaos Brigade, he replied. You have a team. Who? Asked Issei. Well obviously Kuroka, Baiko a descendant of Son Goku, there's Arthur Pendragon and his sister Lefay Pendragon both descendants from King Arthur, explained Vali. Right that's some team we'll go ahead and do that if you run into trouble let me know so my peerage and I can assist you, said Issei. Well I should be going have a girlfriend waiting for me at home and all, he said as a magic circle appeared under him. I'll let you continue what you were doing and it was nice meeting you Kuroka. She only nodded in response and he was gone. Scene change back to Issei's apartment. Issei has teleported back to his living room and Irina looked at Issei. How'd it go love? She asked. It went about as expected he's gonna sit this one out but it was worth a try, he replied as he shrugged. So what's the plan if something happens? She asked. We neutralize the threat simple as that, he replied with that they went back to relaxing for the rest of the day. Time skipped to the day of the youth meeting. Issei and his peerage were standing in the living room of his apartment discussing things. Issei had informed Rainier the next day of what happened and told her she needed to be present with the rest of them. Everyone was dressed formally. Issei was wearing a red button-up shirt with a black tie and his sleeves rolled up, black slacks, and black leather dress shoes. Irina was wearing a purple strapless dress with black heels and hair done in the usual pigtails. Zenobia was wearing a blue dress and black heels with a hairpin to hold back half of her bangs. Rainier was wearing a black dress with black heels and her was done in a loose ponytail. Asia was wearing a pink dress and black heels, her hair was down as usual. Alright you guys ready? He asked. Hi Issei-sama, all the girls replied. He deadpanned. I really hate formalities so only call me that in front of an important figure let's go, he said as he used the magic circle paper that Searsex gave him to teleport them all there. Youth devil meeting in the underworld. They had teleported into a hallway inside of what seemed to be a mansion. They all looked around curiously when a body flew from the wall and flew past Issei's face into another wall. Is it always like this in the underworld? Thought Issei. Oh Issei. What brings you here? Said a voice as Issei looked to the direction the voice was coming from to see Rias and a tall man with a muscular build. Oh hey Rias. Searsex invited us so we came, replied Issei as he smiled at Rias. Over the course of time I'm school Issei and Rias has become really good friends. Oh okay then by the way this one next to me is my cousin Saraorg Bale, said Rias as Saraorg stuck his hand out. Issei Hyodo. He said as he took Saraorg's hand and shook it. Also you're the Red Dragon Emperor I've heard much about, said Saraorg. Yes that would be me. He replied. Well we're on the way to the hall where they're having the actual meeting if you wish to join us, said Rias. Right let's go, Issei replied. They made it to the hall and the meeting started and Searsex gave his speech about the rating game tournament and introduced the 4 youth devils and one name stuck out to Issei, one Diodora Astaroth. I don't like this guy at all, he gives me an evil vibe, thought Issei as he saw Diodora stand up and sit down after his introduction. Then Searsex talked about the Chaos Brigade to give the youth a warning for the future. With that, the youth meeting concluded. Issei looked around to see everyone get up and leave except Rias and her peerage and Sona and hers. He saw Zenobia and Kiba holding hand. Their date had went really well and Kiba had asked if she wanted to be his girlfriend at the end of it and she accept. Now the real meeting can start, thought Issei as he walked towards Searsex, Serafal, and an elderly man with a long white beard and a girl with Asgardian armor with silver hair behind him. Odin-sama, it's good to see you again, said Issei as he bowed. Everyone was a bit shocked to hear they had met before. Ah, Issei my boy, I haven't seen you since you were training with Thor, haha. Odin replied as he patted him in the back. At this point everyone had completely went wide-eyed. Rosweiss, it's good to see you again as well, said Issei. Issei-sama, it's nice to see you, she said as she bowed. Father, you are a fool to discuss a peace treaty with beings below us, said a voice as a green Norse magic circle appeared and out came a man with long green hair. Well, if it isn't Loki-chan, said Issei from up in the air by the ceiling in the hall. Loki was glaring at Issei. I told you not you call me that. You may be strong for a fallen but you are still no match for a god, said Loki with venom in his voice. Alright, just relax. Why are you trying to stop the peace, Loki? Asked Issei. My father is a fool for even considering this treaty with you all, seeing as you're all beneath us in terms of strength. It'll just make us look weak, he said. Loki, if you return to Asgard this minute I will forgive you for what you're doing, said Odin. What you need to do is see my way of things, spat Loki as he started up a Norse magic circle aimed at Odin until he was forcefully teleported out by another green magic circle. That should buy us some time, but considering he is a god it'll give us about 2 hours before he breaks out of the seal I have him in, said a voice behind Issei. Issei turned around to see a man with green hair. Nice save Ajuka-chan, said Serafal. So this is the current Beelzebub, thought Issei. It's nice to officially meet you, although I had hoped it would have been under better circumstances. My name is Ajuka Beelzebub, Ajuka said as he reached his hand out towards Issei. Issei Hyodo, he replied as he took his hand and shook it. Serafal talks a lot about you, he said. She does? Asked Issei as he turned to Serafal who had a blush on her face. Yes, but back to main topic. Loki, we have only about 2 hours till he breaks free. I teleported to a seal I have on the outskirts of the underworld and once he breaks free I don't doubt he's going to be angry, said Ajuka. I have an idea, said Odin as everyone turned to face him. I apologize for this but I would like my son alive. He may have broken laws by doing this but he is still my son. I can contact Thor to send Mjolnir to the area of the battle. One hit from that will imprison Loki in our dungeon in Asgard, he explained. The problem is no one here is powerful enough to wield it, said Searsex. I am, said Issei as he raised his hand. Everyone looked at him shocked. Oh come on, you guys just heard I've trained with the hammer owner himself. Why so surprised? He let me test it. Only thing is even in balance breaker it's a struggle to move it. I doubt Loki will just stand there and let me hit him with it, but in angelic overdrive I'll be able to do it no problem. But I would need a team with me to set up a powerful barrier since the angelic overdrive leaks out too much energy, explained Issei. That sounds like a plan, but I'd only be able to transport about 8 people there and would need to recharge, so reinforcements will not be there, said Ajuka. That's alright, we'll be fine, it'll be my peerage and I, said Issei. I will accompany you as well, said Rosweiss. Are you sure? Asked Issei. Yes, I can help you fight and I am one of the best Asgard has to offer when it comes to barriers, she replied. I can't just wait here while the love of my life could be getting hurt out there, said Serafal with a determined look on her face. Very well then, I'll transport to a couple of yards away from the seal, said Ajuka. Odin-sama, how will it take for Mjolnir to appear in the underworld? Asked Issei. I will contact Thor right now and tell him it's an emergency, but it will still take about 30 minutes for it to get here, he replied. When facing a god 30 is a long time, but I'll manage. But you don't mind if I rough him up a bit, do you? Asked Issei. As long as he lives it's okay by me, he replied. Issei only nodded as he turned to his peerage. So that's the plan girls, you guys will set up a barrier while I deal with Loki, everyone understand? Said Issei. Hi Issei-sama, said the girls. Well then let's make preparations for this battle so we can end this as quickly and peacefully as possible, said Odin. Everyone nodded as Odin and Rosweiss walked away to get a hold of Thor. Issei turned to Serafal. Are you sure you want to go, babe? It's going to be dangerous, I don't want you getting hurt, he said. I'll be fine, remember I didn't get the title of Leviathan just for fun, love, she replied as she placed a hand on his cheek. Right, I'll be counting on you then, he smiled. Short time skip. Odin and Rosweiss came back into the hall. I got a hold of Thor, he will be sent Mjolnir, but remember Issei, it'll be about 30 minutes before it gets here, so until then don't die, said Odin. I can't die yet, Odin-sama, I still have to keep the peace and marry these two girls behind me someday, he replied as Irina and Serafal blushed heavily. Haha, Issei, my boy, you sure do have an interesting taste in women, Odin said as he stroked his beard. Issei just chuckled at his comment as Ajuka walked up to them. Are we ready to go? He asked. Yeah, let's go, replied Issei as Ajuka made a magic circle underneath him and his peerage, Serafal, and Rosweiss. Remember, after this jump it will take a while for me to recover to bring you guys back, so don't die, said Ajuka. They all just nodded, and with that Ajuka teleported them to Loki's location. Scene change. Outskirts of the underworld, they arrived in an area that was a vast wasteland, nowhere near any civilization. Issei looked over the cliff they teleported on to see a giant pyramid made of magic. Pretty safe to assume that's where Loki is, thought Issei. Would have never guessed, said Dietrich. You know, for someone who's asleep majority of the time, your sarcasm never ceases to amaze me, he replied. Have to make it fun in here somehow. I guess you're right, but time to get serious, Loki's about to break free, thought Issei as he felt a surge of energy from the seal. The shattered and out came Loki. The nerve of that devil to imprison a god, said Loki as he looked around and saw Issei and the girls. Really? This is all they sent to stop me? I feel rather insulted, he said. Lord Loki, stop this at once. If you return home, the All-Father will forgive you. If you have a complaint, you need to take it through the proper channels, said Rosweiss. And who's going to stop me? You. As talented as you may be, you are still no match for a god, he replied. Tch, you were always such a spoiled brat, said Rosweiss. But let's get this over with, I have to go deal with my father, said Loki as he snapped his fingers and two blue magic circles appeared on the ground and out came a giant wolf creature and what appeared to be a sea serpent. Fenrir, and Midgardsormr. Why have you brought them here? Yelled out Rosweiss. Guys, did we count on fight mythical creatures? Asked Irina. No, we didn't, so new plan. Irina and Xenovia, you girls take Midgardsormr. Serafal and Rosweiss, you girl take Fenrir, but be careful, one bite and it's game over. Ray and Asia, you two get started on setting up the barrier, said Issei with a stern look on his face. The girls only nodded as they got into position and Issei flew up to Loki. Well, little Issei is going to take me on, said Loki. Yup. For old time's sake. Balance break, said Issei. Welsh dragon balance breaker, with Irina and Xenovia. The two landed in front of the sea serpent and looked up. So this is the legendary Midgardsormr of the Norse mythology, said Xenovia. Yeah. But let's make this quick so we can help Rainier and Asia, said Irina as she extended her wings. Right, replied Xenovia as she did the same and summoned Durandal as she flew towards the beast at great speeds, but Midgardsormr only used its tail to knock her back and she landed next to Irina. So direct attacks aren't going to have much effect, said Xenovia. I have a spell that Serafal showed me since I have affinity with ice magic as well, I've been want to try it, said Irina. If it can help us defeat this beast faster, by all means, she replied. Okay, said Irina as she lifted her hand up and a purple magic circle appeared on her hand aimed at the beast. Frozen hell, she said as spikes appeared under the beast to impale it all over its body, and just like that the beast was dead. Well, that's that, let's go help Asia and Rainier, said Irina as she looked at Xenovia. Let's go, she replied as the two flew off with Serafal and Rosweiss. The two landed in front. Fenrir. We have to be careful, Lady Leviathan. Fenrir's fangs are able to kill gods themselves, said Rosweiss. Okay, no problem then, I'll make this quick, she replied as she lifted up her hand and a magic circle appeared aimed at Fenrir, when all of a sudden a purple magic circle appeared underneath Fenrir and chains surrounded him, pinning him down. I apologize if we startled you, said a voice as a man with blonde hair and glasses appeared and a woman with dark hair and cat ears appeared. I am Arthur Pendragon and this is Kuroka. We are a part of Team Vali. If you need any answers as to who we are, please ask Mr. Hyodo, but Vali wants Fenrir for something, so we shall be taking him with us. So with that, have a good day, said Arthur as he teleported all three away. See, I told you I'd make this quick, said Serafal as she stood there triumphantly. You didn't even do anything, replied Rosweiss as she deadpanned. Serafal cleared her throat as she looked at Rosweiss. Whatever, let's go help the barrier, it shouldn't be long before Mjolnir comes, said Serafal as they flew away. With Issei and Loki, Issei had just entered Balance Breaker. Oh. Balance Breaker, you're taking me somewhat seriously. I don't know whether to be honored or insulted that it isn't your juggernaut drive, said Loki. If it gets bad enough we'll see, said Issei. Let's begin, Issei as he flew towards Loki at great speeds and punched Loki, sending flying back slightly. Loki recovered and sent a magical blast towards Issei as he was flying towards him and hit his shoulder and blasted some armor off. Shit, that hurt. Ddraig, can you repair? Thought Issei. Already on it, partner, Ddraig replied. Issei looked at his shoulder to see his armor regenerating. You should be more careful, Issei-kun, or you might not survive, said Loki mockingly. Issei just glared at him and flew towards him again and kicked him in the stomach and made an orb of energy on his fist. Dragon shot, Issei said as he sent the blast of energy to Loki point blank. Once the smoke cleared, Issei could see Loki panting heavily. That actually hurt, he said as he glared at Issei. Then Issei noticed the barrier go up. Looks like they handled those two all right. Now we wait for Mjolnir, thought Issei. Let's back to it, shall we? Said Loki as he summoned multiple magic circles around and shot multiple magical blasts towards Issei. Shit. Shit. Shit, he thought as he was dodging the blast. At this point I might have to go into angelic overdrive early just to survive. As he thought, that 3 blasts hit his back. Ah! Issei screamed in pain as he flew to the ground and created a crater. Partner, I'm regenerating your armor, but you should really go into angelic overdrive. Your balance breaker isn't enough for a god, said Ddraig. You're right, Loki isn't behind Thor by much in strength at this point. It's like trying to fight Shiva in my normal state, thought Issei. Alright, let's do it, he said as he stood and faced Loki. I, who is about to awaken, am the heavenly dragon who has returned to principles of domination to God. I hold the principles of the infinite up high. I pray to the dream. I am the heavenly dragon of domination and I shall show you the way to crimson heaven. Heavenly dragon angelic overdrive, power radiated off Issei like there was no tomorrow. What the hell is this power? Said Loki. It's incredible. Once the dust around the area cleared, Loki saw Issei. This isn't the Juggernaut drive, what is it? Asked Loki. This is a stage beyond the Juggernaut drive. This is my proof that I am the ultimate dragon of domination. Now prepare yourself, Loki, replied Issei as he flew up to Loki at speeds that Loki couldn't keep up with and punched him in the stomach, forcing Loki to cough up blood and followed by a kick to the face to send him flying back to hit against the barrier. Before he could react, Issei was on him again. Issei grabbed Loki by the hair and brought his face down to his knee, causing his nose to snap on impact. Ah! Loki screamed out in pain, and as Loki looked up to the sky he saw a Norse magic circle appear and down came a hammer he knew all too well. Mjolnir! He yelled out. It's finally here, thought Issei as he reached up and grabbed the hammer. Loki, for the sins against Asgard and the peace between the factions, Odin the All-Father has ordered you to be imprisoned in Asgard. I am here to send you there, said Issei as flew towards Loki, swung the hammer and hit Loki. On impact, a Norse magic circle in multiple layers trapped Loki. Curse you, Issei Hyodo, I'm only a fraction of what's to come. Loki cursed as he was teleported to Asgard along with Mjolnir. It's over, he thought as he reverted back to his normal state and hissed in pain. His back and shoulder were burnt. The barrier dropped as Issei dropped to one knee holding his shoulder. The first one to reach him was Serafal. Issei, my love, you're hurt. Don't move. Asia-chan, please heal him. She yelled. Right. Issei, need please stay still while I heal you, said Asia as her hands started to glow green on Issei's back. Thank you, Asia. Loki got some good hits on me, said Issei. Issei darling, we told you to be careful, said Irina as she placed a hand on his cheek. Yeah, I know, but it's a god, I was bound to get hurt, he replied as he laughed sheepishly. We're just glad you're okay, Issei-sama, said Rosweiss. Yeah, how you guys beat Fenrir and Midgardsormr? Asked Issei. Well, for Xenovia tried to get it with Durandal, but that showed no success, so I used a spell that Serafal showed me to kill, said Irina. You used Frozen Hell? Asked Serafal. I did, thank you for showing it to me, she replied. That's good, said Issei as he patted Irina's head. What about you two? I know Fenrir is the stronger one of the two, so it must have been tough, he said. Well, to be honest, we didn't get to do anything. Two people showed up and took him away, Rosweiss explained. What? Who? Yelled out Issei. Their names were Arthur Pendragon and Kuroka. They said you knew them, she continued. I do. For identity's sake, you shouldn't worry about them. I work alongside their team leader. Surprising enough, I've only told Serafal and Irina about them since Irina's my queen and Serafal my girlfriend along with Irina, explained Issei. Rosweiss accepted the answer and only nodded her head. But I will have some words with Vali tomorrow to see why he wants Fenrir to begin with, said Issei. So what now? Asked Issei. We wait for Ajuka-chan to teleport us back and report on this mission, explained Serafal. Issei only nodded. Time skip back at the hall. They had been teleported back and explained everything that happened to Searsex, Ajuka and Odin. Issei, my boy, I would like to thank you for not killing my son, said Odin. No problem, Odin-sama, you wanted your son alive and I kept him alive, replied Issei. No, the problem what he meant that this was only a fraction of what's to come, said Ajuka. I don't know, but I don't like the sound of it one bit, said Searsex. Well, we have signed our treaty, so I shall return to Asgard to interrogate Loki to see what he knows, said Odin. Yes, please let us know how that turns out, said Searsex. Come Rosweiss, let us go. Hi Odin-sama, she replied as she made a magic circle and teleported them both back to Asgard. Well, if you all would excuse the fight with Loki really tired me out, so I would like to go home and rest, said Issei. Right, don't let us keep you, we'll figure out things on our end for now, said Searsex. Alright girls, let's go home. Serafal, are you coming or do you have to stay? Asked Issei. Unfortunately, I have to stay for Devil King business, love, but I'll see you in a few days, she said as she walked up to him. Right, I'll see you later then. I love you, he said. And I love you too, she replied, and with that they shared a kiss goodbye. Alright, now let's go, I'm tired. Irina, can you teleport us home? Asked Issei. Hi Issei-sama, she replied as she made a magic circle underneath them all and teleported them home to unwind from the day. That's it guys. Thank you for watching. And support the author as well for making this story.